You are Black in the Green Room with me, your host, Keith Underwood, and this is your spot for real talk about entertainment with entertainers, creatives, and showbiz professionals. And today we're sitting down with a powerhouse talent who's been making moves on screen and stage. You've seen him in Search Party, The Mayor, and God Friended Me. And now he's stepping into an iconic role of Lincoln in Topdog, Underdog at the Pasadena Playhouse. Let's give a warm welcome to Mr. Brandon Micheal Hall. Brandon, what's up? And welcome to the room.
Man, Keith, thanks for having me. Thank you for having me. What a great introduction. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're very, very welcome, man. So,
Man,
so how are you this evening?
I'm wonderful. I'm blessed. I'm feeling good. I got an off day today. I'm feeling refreshed. So I'm very good.
Yeah, good, man. Good. You know,
And
Brandon,
yourself, how are you
oh,
holding? How are
dude,
you
thank
doing?
thank you for asking, man. I'm doing
Of
I'm doing
course.
fantastic. I don't have any
Awesome.
complaints. So yeah, I'm
There you
doing
go.
good. Yeah, thanks for asking.
There you go.
So,
Mhm.
so Brandon, you've played everything from a tech savvy podcaster to an up and coming rapper turned mayor. What's one role that made you see yourself in a new way?
Ooh, one role that has made me see myself in a new way. Honestly, man, all of them. I can't really pick one role because that's the beautiful thing about um, being able to be versatile and try different roles is that they each bring out something different in you, and they each show you something about yourself. So I can't really pick one. They all have done something magnificent to my growth as a human being.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, how have you grown as an artist from all of the various roles that you played?
Man, honestly, I gotta say, I just the feeling of it just gets easier and easier, and it gets better and better. And um, ironically to that, with all of that, it also gets a little bit more challenging because you can't get complacent. You got to find more ways to stretch yourself as an artist and find other mediums that can, enhance what you're already doing. So yeah, it's been a growth. I mean, man, I've been in this thing since what, 16, 14. And every new project, every time I've been able to be on a project, it's brought something new out of me. So the growth has
Hmm.
been great. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and it's really interesting to me because I know that some actors, especially actors that have been doing the game for a while, it starts off with technique. But at what point in your
Right.
career did you get lost in character and you were like, "Wait a minute. Okay, I'm here. I am doing this."
Oh man, I would say again, every project, like that's one of the things that I strive for is to get lost in the story, to get lost in the character. For me, I never want to, even though sometimes you feel like you're playing yourself or you enhance versions or different styles of yourself. I enjoy getting lost in the idea that I am this person, that I am this thing, this human that is going through these challenges and emotional roller coasters. And when you get lost into whether it's the stage or it's TV or film, it makes the work so much more palpable. It makes it so tangible, and I love that. Absolutely love that feeling.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
outside of the feeling, that you get when you're on
Mhm.
stage, what do you love most about the theater?
Ooh, what do I love most about the theater? God, there's so many things. What I love most about the theater is that it's like, mm, it's like watching the Super Bowl yesterday, you
Hmm.
know? Watching a film, you can get that feeling, but the live performance, the live energy, whether that's, seeing a theater piece live from the comfort of your home or seeing it in person, having that human connection, that human feeling where you're never going to get that second take. You're not going to get a third take. Like you're seeing this in the moment. It will never happen again. That's one of my the things that I love the most about the theater. Also, the fact that it just brings people together. The theater is the home. It's sad because the theater and the arts should be, as we all know, funded more and taken care of much
Absolutely.
more than it is. But it's a place where we always come back home to, and it's like, oh, well, we got questions. Let's go to the theater, but we're not going to give them money, you know, because the theater has the honest answers, and sometimes the honest answers is, you know, you may not know. But to be in that space, to be live in there and question and have a conversation, and you know that's what the theater brings, and that's what I love about doing it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so if I'm correct, you grew up in South Carolina,
Yes,
and but you
South
changed.
Carolina.
Yeah,
Shout out.
South Crakalaka in the house.
South
Um,
Kakalaki.
yeah, and you also trained at Juilliard. How did those
Hmm.
two worlds shape the artist you are today?
Yeah, so I have to say it's there's a bit of a link in there that we're missing, which is the church and also the South Carolina Governor School for the Arts Humanities. So I think for me, growing up in the South and growing up in the church, watching that type of theater and
Mhm.
being immersed into the Southern Bible Belt old school church, that can draw anybody to want to be in that pulpit. You know, it can the that power, that spiritual connection can draw anybody to say, I can do that. I can have that connection. I can speak from this higher place. And watching my mother do that, that was one of the most inspiring things. The thing that she had told me and that I had to accept was my calling wasn't going to be in the spiritual realm of, you know,
Hmm.
Christianity or of a religion, that it was going to be in the secular realm of theater and the arts, and asking real deep, you know, crazy questions and dealing with these things. And I think in the same vein, it those two connect, you know, well, historically of course, but they connect, and that's how I got into it. And then I was able to explore being um in that world of theater and arts when I went to the governor school, and they gave me 2 years of undeniable and brilliant training that prepared me to be ready to go to a place like Juilliard. And so when I finally got to Juilliard, it wasn't the fact that I wasn't um it wasn't the fact that I wasn't or didn't feel ready. I had a little bit more of is it called survivor's remorse, that
Mm.
I was that I shouldn't have, you know, why me? Why was I the one to get picked? Why was I the one to do that? And it took a moment of actually realizing that I do have a gift in this, and this is my calling. And it's okay to walk into your light and be, you know, somewhat humble in it, in your own vein. But the truth of the matter is, like, are you being a vessel for the art, or are you doing it for yourself? And that's what I learned at Juilliard, was that the hardest part of being an actor, being an artist, is that it's not yours. Unfortunately, kind of like this usable vessel, you know, from the heavens to the human that needs to hear this story or to hear this word. So that selflessness, I had to learn, and I learned that a lot there. It's
Yeah.
not about me, and it's about the art, and I've been able to carry that with me throughout my entire career. And I think that, going back to your first question, is what has blessed me to be able to play all of these different um, roles and tell these different stories, because I'm selfless in my work. I want to tell human stories. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Mhm.
interesting because I have heard, several stories from several different artists that, kind of got inspired, no pun intended, from
Mhm.
church. Do you think
Yeah,
there's some level of performative art at church?
for sure. I mean, look throughout all, especially when it comes to Black art. It all started in the church, because that was the place where we were able to express ourselves, you know, during such hard times. And growing up, you know, I mean, not a lot of, you know, not everybody grew up in the church, but a lot of artists, when I watch these documentaries, I'm like, oh, okay, I see a combination here. I see a thread. They all
Right.
grew up in the church. Something happened between God and them, and they had to go on this Aeneas path, and they became the artists, and they realized that it was all a connection. And
Hmm.
that thing of just bringing it back to your community, you know, that was
Mm.
that I've always seen that Aeneas part of it, where it's like I got to come back, and I have to bring, you know, this gift that I've learned. back to the community. So yeah, I definitely think church has a big place in art
Yeah. Have you
for sure.
had a I've made it moment yet? And if so, when was it? Or has there been
Mm,
have there been levels?
there definitely that's a beautiful way of putting that because I believe off the top of my head, my yeah, it would definitely be my highest moment is when I got to meet Chadwick for the first
Mm,
time. When
hmm
I got to meet Chadwick Boseman for the first time during the Black Panther um, um, premiere here in Los Angeles, that was a moment when I said, "Oh my goodness, I'm here. Like
hmm
I've made it. I'm on that. I think I'm on this level now. Like I can be at this level." Um, but the I made it parts I are not a. It's not the roles for me. The I made it parts. It's what I'm able to do when the camera is off, you know?
mm,
That those are the I made it parts. Those are the moments when you're successful, when you ain't got to answer nobody, when you can literally live the life that you want to live and be free. When you get to enjoy the fruits of your labor, and when you get to go back into your community or into your family and see the happiness and the pride and the joy on their faces that they get to witness you walking into your light. Those are the I made it moments. And when you don't see it, those are the moments when you're like, ooh, I need to go make something so I can have
mm,
that. Yeah, so it's never the role. The role is, that's the beautiful thing of being able to go to school. Is that in school it teaches you like you're gonna get roles. You just got that's the part of the job.
right.
But what do you do when the lights are turned off? What do you get to come home to? What do you get to give back to? And that freedom, that's when I know I've made it. Those are the make, yeah,
I
for sure.
love I love that.
Dropping, I love color hoodies, fly like soundtracks, 8 tracks, taking it back to LPs, that's a flashback. I lay down fashion on these streets like Beverly Hill asphalt. Got everyone driving clean, they can't help but feel the vibes. It's a full assault. I'm from the East Coast where the rap game is gritty, spitting lyrics so hard it hit hard like the streets.
Brandon, welcome black.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for having me again.
Yes, you're very welcome. So let's see here. Susan Laurie Parks, Top Dog
The
Underdog.
goat, the
Yes, the
goat,
GOAT. It explores
goat.
brotherhood, identity, survival. What parts of this story feel especially relevant, right now, right here in 2025?
Oh, what part of the stories feel relevant? All of it, every little part of it. I think the simple answer is brotherhood. This idea of two brothers, two human experiences trying to figure out how to love each other,
Hmm.
and what happens when they don't have the tools to do it, or they have certain tools to show other sides of themselves. So I think I think that's the, or at least for me, one of the things that I get to hold on to is, as Brandon Gill has said, who plays Buthen, is the love, is the heart. If you've read the play, then you understand what happens at the ending, but
Hmm.
that's the end of the play. The entire play is literally, and Susan Laurie does it so well, where she puts in the speech where she says, "We just wanted to be a family. That was all."
Hmm.
And I think that's what Lincoln and Booth are trying to do. Two brothers who have lost everything have to depend on each other, whether they're black, whether they're white, whether they're named Lincoln, whether they're named Booth. They're two brothers who need each other. And what happens when they have to deal with their or face their own problems.
Hmm.
Mhm.
For you, how is family a metaphor for community?
Family is community. I don't even know. Metaphor. It is family is it is. um for me, it's yeah, I don't even know how to expand upon it. Family is community for sure, for sure.
Right. In
Yeah.
what ways? How does community support itself like a family?
How does community support itself like a family? By being there for each other, by
Hmm.
finding ways to love each other through the moments of not being able to understand the other person, to see the bigger picture, because a
Mm,
community is there to build something for the next community. So how does each individual give themselves to that idea for the greater good? Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, what drew you to this particular project? Top Dog, Underdog. What
Ooh,
was it? What pulled you towards
man.
it?
I mean, other than the fact that it is one of the most iconic two-handed plays ever written, um, it is that play when you're in school and you have the blessing to be able to have another black male in your class
Mm-hmm.
to do that scene. You know, I first got to see this play with two great actors from Juilliard, the group 44, I think they were 42, Mike Shaw and Jeremy Tardy. They did that for their senior showcase or their senior show. And I remember watching how beautiful this play was and like, oh my God, what is this language? And they're able to, talk like I've heard other Black folks talk. Like, this isn't August Wilson. This is, you know, 90s. This is 2000s. Like, this is relevant for me. Not to say August is not, because August is extremely relevant, but it was just so modern and so contemporary. And the way that they move with the language sounded very Shakespearean to me. And I forgot just how we talk is just so close to Shakespeare during that time that
Mm-hmm.
he was writing. Um, and so when I got to see that, and then I got an opportunity to see the production that LaShawns put on Broadway with Corey Hawkins and Yaya, which I think that was 2 years ago. Absolutely brilliant. Um, Directed by Goat as well, and I got to see it in a different stage in my life. And I was like, man, I want to do that. As a in college, like, yeah, let's just do the play. But now I want to do it as an adult. I know what they're going through. I've been through some of this stuff before. And then when I got the audition for it, it was a moment where I just prayed. I just had to pray and say,
Mm.
like, if this is for me, it is for me, but it better be for me because I
Because I
want
really
this.
want it, right?
Because I really want this to work with Greg and also to work with Brandon Gill, which is crazy within itself. Like, we've known each other since my first year of college. Brandon and I have been friends, and we always said that we're going to work on something together. And who would have ever thought it would be Top Dog Underdog at the Pasadena Playhouse? It's mind blowing,
Yeah.
mind blowing.
What have you
Yep.
learned about the play, performing in it now
Mm.
that you didn't know as an audience member?
That is a great question. What have I learned about the play now that I didn't know as an audience member? Mm.
Without giving too much away.
I know that's the thing. Um, I know now. I know now that Susan Laurie has a great interview about the creation of Top Dog Underdog on YouTube. We're going all the way back to Jeffrey Wright and John Don Cheadle. And at the beginning of it, she talks about how she did not write these characters in the sense of like it's Abraham Lincoln and Booth,
Right.
like that type of story. There's correlations, but it's not about that story. And the interviews that she was getting about it must be something about the Black experience in America. And she was saying it's not, it's really not. Just because they're two Black men in a room doesn't mean that this is how it's going to go down. It can go down millions of different ways. But that her perspective of doing this was to really hold a mirror up to show what greed can really do to a family,
Mm-hmm.
what heartache can do to two men who have to deal with that living together as adults. Strip everything else away from it and see these as two men who are literally trying to figure it out. And that's the heart of the play, at least for me. And I
Yeah.
didn't I didn't see that at first, because I was like, yeah, I'm having the experience, and Black woman wrote the Black play and this, which is absolutely, absolutely kudos to her and give her all the flowers. But to hear it from the playwright's mouth, and like, don't just look at that, look deeper into why it's called Top Dog Underdog, because that's the constant cycle that we live in. Top dog
Right.
under. Who's the best? Who's better? Who's gonna outwit this person with this person? So that's something I've learned about the play for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm glad you took a
Mm.
moment to think about that question because that was a phenomenal answer, and I'm
Oh,
glad
fact.
that it came to you to share it because that was a really
Good.
good answer. So
Yeah.
so Brandon, the theater has
Mhm.
a very unique kind of magic, and there are no second takes, as we know. When you're on, you're
Yeah.
on. So
Dear
what's
God.
been the most thrilling? I know, right? What's been the most thrilling or unexpected moment in rehearsal so far? What's been some a little bit of crazy or madness?
Ooh, what's been the most thrilling or unexpected moment so far? Ooh, honestly, nothing. I wouldn't say anything has been unexpected. You got two Juilliard actors who are coming in. Like we know what we got to do. Yeah, we don't play around, and that's also something that's just expected of us. So, not to toot our horn or anything, and nothing against any other schools, but we own that. We own that. Preparation is always key. Um,
Right.
I think what has been the most I think what's been the most surprising is this being my first time doing a two-hander.
Hmm.
Working on a two-person play is intense. It is, what's the word? Uh, it can take a lot of energy.
Hmm.
It can take
Right,
a lot
right.
of energy. And the relying and the trust that I have to and I do it willingly, graciously give over to Brandon, Brandon Gill, um, is is a testament also back to our training. Like Brandon and I, we have a thing. It is a thing, and I'm pretty sure it's a thing across the board with other trainings. People who have trained in schools. But this is my first time. Yes, this is my first time in a play working with another Juilliard actor. And it's very much a comfortability. It's like, no, we're really here with each other. I guess you can call that surprising, but it's just you already know, so I don't mean to blabble on about it, but the truth of it is it feels like being back in school.
Yeah.
That's what it is. There's the answer right there. What's most surprising is I prayed about this. I wanted to be and have that intense feeling of being back in school again. It's not to say that, television and film doesn't do that for me, but I haven't been under that type of artistic pressure in a while. And I like that. I miss that. And the
Hmm.
universe granted it to me, and I get to do it with someone who also went through the same process as I did. And so that's what's been the most surprising is the power of manifestation. There you go.
Yeah.
The power of manifestation and seeing it in real time. And then, sitting back at nights and being like, okay, now what are you going to do with it? Now you really have to show
Right.
up because you asked for this, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that's my answer on that one.
I'm very curious, and I'm sure that the audience is anyone that is aspiring that has heard the name, Juilliard. What's the
Mhm.
entry process like to get into Juilliard?
I don't. Maybe it's changed because of the pandemic. Things have changed. But when I was there, back in my day,
Back in
2000,
my day,
2011, 2015, shout out to 44, give me some more. Um, back then, you had to do an in-person audition. You came to the unified auditions. The year that I went, they didn't do the unified. So I'll give you my spill. I
Hmm.
had to fly to New York and you had to go to Juilliard to the school and you had to do one of the, you know, um, 1 day auditions. In that day, you go, you do your contemporary piece, your classical piece, and you do a song. And then you wait. You wait until they put a list up of callbacks for the evening of the day. And so then you take a break, then you go back and you do it all again, but you do it in front of the entire staff. And then if they want you to come back again, and you take like a few little classes and stuff, just like movement and voice and singing. And if they want you to stay, then you have to write an essay. And God rest his soul, Jim Houghton, beautiful, beautiful man who was the dean or president when I was there. Amazing guy. Um, During that time, he would call you into his office, and he would ask you. It's almost like a therapy session. It's
Right,
like,
right,
do you really want this? You're like, oh God, yeah, just give it to
right.
me. And so, I remember the first audition I got there at 7. I was the first one to go of the day. And I didn't leave until 1 the next morning. And then 2 weeks later, you get an email that says they want you to come back for the final 40. The final 40 is they've narrowed it down from New York, Los Angeles, and I think Chicago. And it's only 40 people that come back to Juilliard for a weekend. And you take 2 days worth of intense classes at Juilliard. So I fly back, you do your classes, you say your goodbyes. And then that was on a Sunday. Monday, radio silence. Tuesday around 11:30 in the morning, I got the phone call that they wanted me to be a part of Group 44.
That's pretty
And that was the
amazing.
process. Yeah,
Yes.
yes.
That's wow, that's really amazing.
Yeah.
Brandon Michael Hall, how can one get tickets to see Top Dog Underdog
Oh,
and what are the run dates?
there's so many ways to get tickets. The first one is to go to PasadenaPlayhouse.com, if I'm not mistaken. And you can see we're all over the page, and you can click on there and get tickets. You can also reach out on my page on Instagram on Brandon Michael Hall, this EAL in the middle. And I have a link there where you can go directly and get the tickets. And what did you ask again? What was the last question?
The run dates.
Oh, the run dates. Well, let me make sure my calendar is right. We open we open on where are we at here? Oh God. There it is. Top Dog Underdog opens March 4th, and we close on March 23rd. And we have some previews starting on the 26th of February until March 4th on our opening day.
Very cool.
Once you get into the run of it, you just kind of like, look, I'm gonna show up. Every day's a rehearsal, even the performances.
Exactly.
That's something to always remember. Even the performances is still a rehearsal in theater.
That's right. That's right.
Absolutely.
Brandon Michael Hall, this has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for sharing your
Absolutely.
time and your journey. I appreciate it.
Yes. And thank you for having me. You have amazing questions, and I can't wait to hear this and listen in. So
All
thank you.
right. Excellent. Thank you.
Have a wonderful one.
You too now.
Be sure to follow me, Keith Underwood, at Mr. Keith L. Underwood on IG. You can also follow me on FB at Keith L. Underwood. And you gotta follow Black in the Green Room at Black in the Green Room across all platforms. Until next time, this has been Black in the Green Room.